Oh, sorry. I'm just
Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome to the Aloha Friday Hawaii Real Estate Show. We are getting warmed up and getting the live stream out to everybody in the internet. I'm going to bring in my friends here and introduce everybody because we got a couple of new guests here on the show today. So, bringing everybody in. As you guys all know and love, Mike Farrell from Maui is back. And then we have a double dose of Annie and Angie's from the Big Island today. So, first time on the live show, but we're going to get some new and fresh perspectives from them. So thank you for joining us, ladies. How about a quick intro from both of you? Annie, tell us kind of quick background on how you got into real estate and where you live and anything else that you want to share. You got to unmute. Annie, can you hear me? Oh, there you go.
Aloha. It's Aloha Friday. So thank you for tuning in. Aloha, it's Friday. Thank you for tuning in. I'm originally from the island of Molokai. I'm unmuted. Can you hear me
Hey,
okay?
we're gonna come back. I think your internet's slow, Annie. It's like you're
Can you hear
bogging
me
out. So
okay?
we can hear you a little bit, but you're like bogging out. The internet seems like it's really
So
slow.
I'm from the island of Molokai. Oh, okay.
We're losing you. Angie, how about you? Give us a quick intro. I know you've been on the other shows that we
Okay. Okay.
the other Fridays.
Yeah, my name's Angie Matriarchal.
I'm gonna
I
see if I
I
can go
came
somewhere
into
else.
I came into real estate sales after about 25 years of being a real estate appraiser. I came into sales about almost 3 years ago. And yeah, I live on the Big Islands, and yeah, that's about it.
But you're not from the Big Island, right? You made the move here years and years ago,
No,
right?
no.
Yeah.
I actually came over. I went to Texas A&M for agriculture, and I came over my senior year of college to do a senior project on sustainability on the island. And I didn't even want to go back to graduate. I was done. Hook, line, and sinker.
Nice.
Yeah, I did
All
go
right.
back and graduate, by the way.
And so and where are you located on the Big Island?
I'm in Kealakekua, like right up, like pretty much in the bay.
Yeah. We're like neighbors, right? We're pretty close. So
Yeah,
to
yeah.
me the greatest place in the entire world for weather is Kealakekua. So I'm biased, but I always tell people that if you want the like most perfect, doesn't get too hot, doesn't get too cold, it's never windy, it's never too rainy, right? Would you agree?
I totally agree. I live at about I live at highway elevation, which is like the anti-wrinkle zone. It's like you can just come up, a little bit higher in the afternoons, and like your face gets like nice and moisturized. By the way, I have way more wrinkles than StreamYard shows, but it's still like
I was gonna
it's
say,
still really
whatever
good.
elevation you're living's at, doing really well. You have great complexion on the screen.
No, these filters make me look like a 10-year-old.
Shh, don't tell anybody.
And so how's Mike going, Mari? What's the weather like over there?
Man, it is the same thing on repeat most of the time. Here in Wailea, South Maui, it is 82, sunny, and a very gentle breeze. So it's a beautiful morning, and I hope it stays that way all weekend.
It usually does, right?
I literally don't ever check the weather because it's the same thing basically all of the time. 82 plus or minus a couple of degrees. We're going to get the sun, and eventually the trades will come in for a little bit during the day.
I just got back literally at 7 a.m. this morning from a trip in 3 different places on the mainland. It always reminds me of how lucky we are here with the consistency of the weather, because I started the trip in Salt Lake, and it was like really cold in the morning and then kind of warmed up during the day. So it was like two extremes, and you got to pack for that, right? Like put all your sweater and cold weather gear on in the morning. And by midday, it's like 85 and too hot. And then I went down to Louisiana, and it was like ridiculously humid and hot all day. And then I went to Vegas, and it was like crazy. It's already 110 during the day, and it's like May. Or I guess May is the summertime technically or whatever. But I was like, man, I can't wait to get back to the Big Island. So, all right, Annie, you're back. Let's check your internet connection. How's it sounding over there? Give us a sound check.
Oh, hello, aloha. It's
Perfect.
Friday.
All right, very good. Yeah, give us a quick background, Annie.
Oh, so really quick, I'm from the island of Molokai, and I got into real estate because of I've purchased my first house and I had a really bad experience, like one of the worst. Like I couldn't find my realtor. I didn't even know I was closing that week. I mean, and I did everything. I like cleaned it, staged it. I was like, this can't be this hard. And so he really motivated me to get my real estate license. And then my first sale was like a $14 million house because I had a high-end client that said, you know, go get your real estate. That was one of the reasons, and he bought for me. So
Lucky that's not a common occurrence. So
not a common
that's a great way to
occurrence.
start. Yeah.
Yeah.
Love it. All right.
You said client. What kind of industry were you in before?
I have a hospitality degree, and I worked at a lot of hotels. And then this one, I took some time off in raising my children, so I took a back type of management. It was called being a bungalow assistant management. So I was a butler for super high end clients for a long time, and then I opened up my own butler service business. And to this day, this house that they hired me to take care of their property for 20 years. So one day I'll get to sell it. It's worth $30 million. Oceanfront unicorn property. So yeah, I love. It's like I'm managing my own hotel, but there are only 2 guests, and they only come 3 months out of the year. Yeah,
Man,
my dream job.
Love it. All right, guys, it's 10:03, so let's officially get started here. If you're just joining us, this is the Aloha Friday Real Estate Show. I'm gonna bring in our slides here. We just got done with the warm up. We do this every other week, so if you're just joining us for the first time, you won't see us next week, but you'll see this the week after, and I will always remind you of what the next show date is. First, just some housekeeping to get out of the way. If you found us via livinginhawaii.com, that's the way most people do. But if you go to livinginhawaii.com and you sign up for the newsletter, it reminds you of when the shows are. Plus, you get the summary afterwards if you miss it. And this website is the absolute best location for information about lifestyle in Hawaii, about moving to Hawaii, the cost to move here, how to assimilate when you get here culturally. So if you haven't checked out livinginhawaii.com, it is new and updated this year, and it's packed full of fresh content. Every single week we're creating new video content and new written content for the website. So go check it out, give us some feedback, sign up for the newsletter to stay up to date on all the things that are happening. All right, so getting into the Hawaii news, guys. So we always start off with a news update. A couple of things that went on this week, and actually just yesterday. We always talk about the volcano, but episode 47 happened on the Big Island, and it was one of the more spectacular ones. And one of my buddies picked me up from the airport this morning, drove out there. I think he said 2 nights ago or something, but they caught it because it's one of those things where when it starts going, you have to get out there and see it when it's happening, because it ends quickly. And that's basically what happened. This one was like at midnight, it just completely stopped after huge, hundreds of feet fountains of lava in the air. It just totally cut off. So the volcano continues to go, and I always get asked that when I travel. It's like, oh, do you guys have the volcanoes? And it's like, yeah, we do, and it's been happening since 1983, so it's not really a big deal, but it's pretty cool when it's happening in the park and you can see it firsthand. So we'll always keep you updated on when the next episode is on that. Another news story is UHERO, which is the economic research office of the University of Hawaii, is talking about the sticker shock of all of the global economic things that are happening right now. And they're estimating that right now the average cost to a resident is $100 higher for gas, electricity, power, all the things that are affected by the global oil issues and other things. And so that's one of the definite challenges of living into Hawaii is we are affected by that probably more than most places, and we'll get some feedback from the crew on that when we get through the news updates. And then final thing, always giving updates on legislation and what's going on at the state legislature. House Bill 1740 is being called the locals only bill, and what it would do is highly incentivize developers to put deed restrictions into properties when they sell them, to require that the buyers be residents of the state of Hawaii to exclude non-residents. I'm always very cynical about things like this. I think one, there may be some unconstitutionality to that, which may get challenged in court, but also it doesn't, what are the specifics of that? That's what I would be interested in is what if somebody moves here for a year and rents, establishes residency, and then buys, but they came from the mainland the year prior? Does that disqualify them? Can they not buy the house? It gets very, very sticky. So, like I always say, I think we focus a lot on the wrong things when it comes to affordable housing in Hawaii. Instead of building more houses, which is the best way to make housing affordable, is to create increased supply. We try and do things that are complicated, and a lot of times so far hasn't been effective, with all of these legislative kind of law changes. So we're gonna bring in the crew and see what kind of reaction do you guys have to any of these news stories. Are you guys feeling the sticker shock of the things that are going on? I mean, I think the most obvious one is gas, right? So does everybody know? It's like one of those things that pretty much everybody knows off the top of their head is how much is gas right now in your town? What would you guys say?
I just paid off the highway at probably one of the more expensive gas stations, $5.49 for regular. Diesel.
And I think Maui does have the highest gas prices in the state, right?
A couple of weeks ago, Costco has the lowest price gas, and I still think I paid $4.89 or $5.09. I can't remember, one of those.
Okay.
But what blew my mind is at that gas station I paid $5.49 a gallon for, diesel was $7.39. A less refined product than gasoline costs significantly more than a more refined product.
Yeah. What about here in the Big Island, ladies? What are you seeing on gas prices?
It's super high. I try not to look. Like, I actually just want to cover my eyes when I pull up to the Costco tanks. Like, no, I just try not to.
It doesn't matter, right?
You're not going to not fill up your car. The biggest thing I've noticed is that I drive a Tacoma, of course. So when there's $100 limit at Costco, and it cuts me off before my tank is full.
Wow, that's crazy. And those aren't even huge tanks, right?
Yeah, no, they're not massive tanks. It's not like, like some big truck made for hauling. And the biggest thing I've seen with like sticker shock too, is just like your choices as you're buying food, and then I read an article that really like supported that said that Costco is noting that people went from beef to chicken, and then now they're buying canned tuna. Like that's a big selling. So I was like, whoa.
Where did you see this comment at?
I saw it online. It was like a Costco report of like, trending sales, and
right.
That's always like, it's kind of an indicator.
Tuna and spam, right? When tuna and spam sells soar, something's wrong. So what about you, Annie? Any examples of cost of living increases? How's your electric bill? Anything else that you're noticing?
Yeah, my electric bill did bump up. What's funny is I drive an electric vehicle, Tesla, and then I had to change my tires and they couldn't get it in. So I've been driving my gas guzzler, and I put gas like every 3 days, and I've forgotten what it was like to put gas, And so it is a sticker shock, but I'm from the island Molokai, like gas there is like $7. So in my mindset, I'm always like, if I don't live back home anywhere else, everything's cheaper. So, and we always have to remember, we live on the most isolated island, so everything gets brought in. And luckily we have those gas gauges, so we can always track to see who's got the cheapest gas and the bargains.
I'm in your boat. I'm in my 6th year of owning a Tesla, so I very rarely put gas in a car, but when I do, it's always painful. So I try and avoid it at all costs. We got a couple of comments here. So as we normally do during the live show is we take the comments first. So this is, I wish I knew your real name. Maybe put it in the comments, but this is somebody moving from Wisconsin to Oahu in September. What's the most affordable place to rent? So we don't have our Oahu rep on today. Ashley was tied up, but I think we all have experience kind of in Oahu. I can tell you that definitely the cheapest place to rent is probably going to be in downtown in a condominium, right? There's lots of inventory there. But like all the islands, it's all about proximity to things. And so if you live in more remote areas like the west side of Oahu or the north shore of Oahu, rents are going to be cheaper, but the trade-off is lots of traffic, long drives to get into town, depending on if you have to commute to work and those types of things. So that's really what you want to the trade-off is you can kind of get a house in a nice area in a one of the more rural parts of the island, or you can get a condominium, like a small condominium in the very dense urban core of Honolulu for similar types of rents, but depending on your lifestyle and how you want to live, that's what you got to consider. Any other thoughts on that, guys? Like in Honolulu, the most affordable places to rent?
I would say Makiki area, and Punahou Kaimoki. So I lived there, went to school at UH, and you have a lot of pool to go through, and they're not as restrictive. So do your homework and trying to find like the right property manager, and you'll find a really good place. And what you have to remember is Honolulu has one of the best transportation systems. You have buses, walkability is like skyrocket. So it's just live in a place where you're close to whatever work you're in, because you're going to be traveling that way.
Yeah, so this is from Scott. Scott, thanks for adding your name in there. And he says that his wife's a nurse and he's a CDL driver. So yeah, definitely, if depending on where your wife's going to work, that's something to consider, because the Honolulu traffic can get crazy. If you're living on the west side of the island, it can take you 2 hours to get into downtown Honolulu if you're working at a hospital there. But there's hospitals all around the island too. So if you're at a more remote area or at a doctor's office or something, there's definitely options. But yeah, like Annie said, the transportation, there's a lot of controversy around the rail, right, and all that stuff that we've talked about for years. But I have some friends that live out in Kapolei that work at Fort Shafter, and so the rail can get you there. So they take an e-bike from their house to the rail, get on the rail. There's Wi-Fi and air conditioning, and then they get off at like the Middle Street whatever station and e-bike to Fort Shafter, and they absolutely love it because they're saving hours a day in traffic driving in and out. And so if you're okay with like some e-biking and some transferring to a bus, you can definitely get around a little bit quicker with the rail system. So all right, cool. Okay, let me see what else we got. Oh, we got Queen of Dreams. Shout out to Queen of Dreams. She's a regular listener. I don't know if she wants to tell me say her real name, but she's at Kapa'au after 9 years of hoping, dreaming, and planning. So they're finally home. Congratulations on that. And now they just got to go find their house, which we're helping with. So appreciate you. Congratulations. All right, and if you're watching, put your name in the comments and let us know where you're watching from. And if you have any questions, as always, just let us know, and we'll cut out from whatever we're talking about to answer questions. So let's get back to the regularly scheduled agenda here. We're going to get into the market update. So we'll run down the island chain and get some different perspectives. Cool that we have 2 Big Island reps today, so we can get some perspective there. But let's start off with Maui. Mike, what you got for the Maui market? You got to unmute.
Got to do that. Got to be able to hear me. So, okay. So we did condo market. I did condos first on here. Condos have new condo listings as of April went down 21%. So we only had, and actually they're down year to date as well, down 14.5%. Our sales, however, that's interesting. Our sales did go up just a tiny bit. So we had 62 sales last April. We had 68 this April. But here's what's interesting. I guess it's not interesting because we've talked prior shows how condo prices have dropped like 40% from what they were in 2024. But yeah, we have gone up 13.6% in year-to-date condo sales. So that's pretty, I guess not interesting. It's just, we keep saying it's a buyer's market here, buyer's market.
It's like this kind of a correction, right? Like because condo sales have been so slow and prices have come down now, it seems like buyers are coming back in and number of sales is going up, right?
Yeah, they are. I mean, I'm working with 2 clients that are only looking at condos right now. Our closed sales were about the same from last year to this year. And then what am I looking at here? And yeah, I mean, we've got a little bit of a change year to date for closed sales, but it's also a little like interesting to see. Look at the next line down, the days on market. So prices have dropped. We are selling more, but it's taking longer to sell them, right? So it's taking 169 days on market versus 144. And then again, for the year, it's trending up. Normally 141, we're at 155 days on market. And then the last thing I talk about on these
which in general is high, right? I think if the rest of us, commented on our average days on market in our markets, I mean, we're talking 90 days, 80 days in a lot of markets. And so, yeah, that 150 is higher.
Yeah, we're double what you guys, your condos are sitting. Yeah. And again, that all factors back into what's going on with Bill 9 and the proposed vacation rental phase out that we've talked about numerous times on the show. But median price. So again, median price month over month is down 8.9%. And then year to date, yeah. So if you bought in January, I mean, look, it's trending down. It's already down 8.8% from beginning of the year. So I'm going to keep pounding this condo markets, guys. This is a buyer's market if you are looking for a condo. Next slide, I think, Dylan, was the single family.
There you go.
Okay, so if we look at just April, so not much of a change year over year there, but if we look in year to date, the new listings are actually down 6.4%. Pending sales, we stayed pretty much the same. We only had one more sale this April versus last April. And then we are up, though, year to date, 7.5%. So we've sold a little more single family up to this point in the year versus last year. Closed sales were down, though, for the month of April. We're down 30%, so 21 less sales. And then we're flat, actually, but year to date. Okay, so last month was a little weaker of a month, but overall, we're exactly even closed sales year to date versus last year. Now here, again, we're looking at the days on market, right? So we're at 138 days on market in April. And then year to date, 149. Do you all know like your days on market for single family?
Anybody want to comment on that? It's for the each market. It's you got to look at it the segment, right? Like is it
yeah,
and is it yeah. So
where at?
Yeah. And then which side of the island, all that good stuff. But yeah, I mean, it's kind of in a lot of markets, it's closer to 90. So I mean, you're definitely higher than most of the other markets around the state.
So
I mean,
typically, if you're in the market for over 6 months in absorption rate, it's going to turn into a buyer's market, and that's just because the inventory has been there for a long time, and it's either it's not priced well, there's some issues going on with the property. But if you're in 90 days, it's still active. It's just taking that buyer a long time to come in and make that offer. They've got to either sell on the other side, they've got qualifying issues. So yeah, and for the Big Island, it just depends on the area. So, but it is a buyer's market. It's trickling into a buyer's market, definitely.
I mean, completely different market, but we owned a property in Asheville, North Carolina. We listed in the beginning of March. We were under contract in 18 days. I can't tell you how happy I was about that. But again, completely different market, completely different scenario, and a much lower price point than what it is here on Maui. And then one last thing we'll share is just the median sales price of single family here on Maui. In April of this year, it was down just a little, 1.290, and then year to date 1.297. I mean, basically since
flat year to
all
date,
of
right?
Yeah, 2025 into this year, it's hovered between 1.2 and 1.3. And I guess last April was a little higher at 1.377, but basically, same.
Okay, we got a live question here at me and Angie, but I'll let Angie take this because it's directed at her. So, is there a need for appraisers here on the Big Island, and why did you leave, Angie? Oh, give us the tea.
Absolutely, there's a need for appraisers. I've talked to the DCCA about how many licenses they're renewing compared to how many are retiring, and it's a little frightening to me that if we do pick up to a boom market, that we're going to have a shortage. I don't know if anyone remembers the '03 kind of time where it was like they were quoting like 6 weeks for an appraisal, right? And how easily we could slide back into
Well,
that.
even in 21, that was a problem, right? When the market
Yeah.
was super crazy and we're doing 7,500 sales on the island, like it got.
And I
Especially
mean, it's
like
an
for a
industry
VA
that's,
loan.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's aging out. So definitely, I was a little disappointed that we haven't seen the Appraisal Institute is going through some really innovative stuff with training and getting people certified where you can actually do it remotely now. Because back, in the dinosaur ages when I got a license, you had to actually get someone to apprentice under, and it's a really long apprenticeship, and it's really hard to ask someone to do that because they're training their competitor basically, and unless you're a kid, a lot of appraisers, apprentice their kids because that's the only way they'll do
It's
it.
multi-generational businesses,
Yeah.
right? Yeah.
Yeah. And, I always kind of planned on going into sales late in the game. When I had my kids were younger and stuff, appraisal was a great industry because I was just kind of doing it part-time and I could bid jobs, turn times and stuff.
You only take them when you want them, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I kind of always planned this pivot kind of when my kids were older into sales, when I could be more hands-on. So it was sort of a long-term plan for me.
And maybe share with Jeremy, what is the process like to get an appraisal license? Is it just a Hawaii license? Is it a national license? Like, what does that look like?
It's really similar to the real estate sales in that, you've got a certain amount, a big bulky education package going into it. And a lot of that's done remotely now. And then once you get through the education, you've got a decently difficult test to take, and then you take the test and then you have apprenticeship. When I did it, you have an apprenticeship. I'm pretty sure you still have that. But I think they've tried to reduce the hours to incentivize people going into it because when I did it, you had this really long, it took me a year of apprenticing to even get licensed. And they've tried to shorten the hours or lower the hours. So now it's way easier, but you do have to apprentice and get someone to sign off that you've, had an apprenticeship with them.
Cool. So yeah, it looks like Jeremy's been an appraiser in Arizona for a long time. So then you just would have to get a Hawaii license?
I think so, but I think you still have to sit for the test and get it approved by their little, their board.
So similar
to
a real estate license. If you have a license in another state, you just got to take the state exam in the second state and pass. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. All right. I hope that answers your questions, Jeremy. If you got any others, just drop them in the chat and we'll come back. And then I am Queen of Dreams. Also, this is great. I know she watches the show all the time, right? It takes the great advice from you guys about pricing your house right. And if you price your house right, it does sell in 24 hours. You don't have to wait 90 days or 150 days. And that's the hardest part about this business is getting people to listen to people that live in the market every day and can give you good advice. So thanks for following your realtor's advice. That's gives us a lot of confidence. All right, so let's get back to the market updates here. And we'll get into the Big Island market update and both perspectives on the Big Island market update. So, Annie, what are you seeing on the Big Island? Annie's going to take like the Big Island, the big perspective, and then Angie's going to give us a sub perspective on this. So, what are you seeing on the Big Island?
So on the Big Island, it's really split into two. The east side is very different from the west side. And of course, the east side has a lot of inventory. It's more affordable. You've got Puna, and I don't know if people realize it, but Puna is the size of the island of Oahu. And in the 70s, they had cut up all these subdivisions, and now they're existing, and they're finally selling. I used to sell all those land for like $6,000 a pop, and now they're selling for $110,000, and a lot of people are building. So on the west side, it is it's dry area, so people find that desirable where the beaches are and a lot of activities that happen there. And this is where the work is because this is where the bulk of the hotels are. And the majority of the industry working is on the west side. So with Kona, this is really like the best time because their average price is like $1 million right now. So if you have a house that was built in the 80s and it's priced well, you can purchase it under 900,000, and that's when you want to get in. And then on the resort side of it, you know, it's they have a lot of money, and the price difference was like 1.1 to 1.3. I've got a new listing. I'm listing at 1.4 in the resort condo. So it's really a good time to buy. You have to find the right product, the price, and with a good agent that knows the market really well, because negotiate, negotiate, negotiate. This is like the time.
That's definitely the the biggest advantage buyers have, is so much room for negotiation right now. So, all right, let's get into like some specific stats on the Big Island and the Kona area. So Angie, what do we got going on, in just to kind of give you guys an example of what, you know, the sub market looks like in contrast to the overall market?
Well, you know, I think for on a month-to-month basis, there's not that much, you know, it's not too much excitement, not huge swings really happening. If this was a surf report, I'd tell people it's slow and flat, go work. Like, don't waste your time paddling out. But it's not. Luckily, it's not. I think it's really interesting, you know, on the right-hand side of the slide, to note that our sale to list price ratio is decreasing pretty significantly, in my opinion. And that kind of goes in line with what I've seen. I actually run these statistics on my own numbers of buyer representation. And, you know, last year I was like really trying hard to keep like a 94% sale to list price on the buy side, showing that I could really negotiate down. I am at 90% this year. And this is only like, I roll out vacant land sales in this because vacant land negotiation is a totally different animal. Like, I think my record for vacant land is like 24% sale to list price ratio. Like, I should, like, you know, someone was just ready to like,
you can skew
give
the
it
data
away.
easily. Yeah,
exactly. So this is like over $1 million price point residential in Kona, and I'm at 90% negotiating sale to list price. And that's like not original list price, like it's come down over a period. That is like current list price. So I think that is really interesting to look at for the west side of the island in North Kona right now. And I think it's really interesting.
And just to pause on that, I mean, this is like such a good example of what, if you're buying or you're selling, to really get granular data, right? Because if you're a seller in North Kona right now, like, you can expect on average to get 91.6% of your list price if you don't price it right. And that's crazy. I mean, like, it's like a 10% discount. Like, I think people lose their, that's $100,000 off of $1 million house, right? Or a $1.1 million house. I mean, people lose their minds over that when they see those offers come in, but clearly people are taking them, right?
Yeah. I mean, I joke that our market's really being driven by grandkids on the mainland and big life events happening. Like, a lot of people that have to sell right now, are choosing to sell right now, have to sell, or they're just choosing, you know, they're tired of waiting. So I think that's really indicative of like the negotiating too. You have to really look at where a seller is at, you know, if it's an investment property or if it's their primary residence, and maybe they've even already moved on, you know, and how that changes the negotiation process. I also think it's always really interesting to see Big Island West Side data in North Kona, because we have, you know, people think of the Kohala Coast as our Gold Coast, where the resorts are, like where Annie is. But we do have 3 resorts in North Kona that really skew our data, as you can see with sales volume, right? We had like 3 or 4 sales in the 15 million and up, and that just blows our sales volume out of the water. We have Kohana Iki now, which is one of the newer resorts right in North Kona, and then moving up Kukio and Hualalai. The non-Olelo term is 4 Seasons Resort, right? So you have to kind of be careful when you look at, like, this looks like, oh, Kona's booming, but meh, it's pretty like flat in my opinion.
Yeah, interesting. Any questions, guys, on any of this? This is good. This is great. This is great perspective. I have a quick, I threw in the Kauai market data because it was easy for me to do, and we don't have a Kauai rep on today, but I just wanted to highlight the volatility of number of sales month over month. And it's always very interesting to me how, like, in a small market like Kauai, you can get down to 48 sales in January of this year, but then back up to 65 a couple of months later. And that doesn't sound like a lot, like, you know, 20 something sales or whatever, but when you think about it in terms of percentages, there's huge jumps and declines in the percentages of number of sales. But 65 is a good place that's a strong number for the island of Kauai, because as you can see, for a lot of months it's well below that, and there's somewhat, it seems like based on the trend, there's kind of it's trending back up. We'll see if that continues, but it's the Kauai market is so small. It's very interesting month over month how you see the variation in number of sales, and but overall the prices are still solid on Kauai, and we'll have Ronnie back on in a couple of weeks to give us the full update. But if you have any questions about that, just reach out and we can get your questions answered. So I wanted to hit on, guys, we got a couple of here's more Kauai market data. And you can see that the median price is up a little bit, right? 1.112 a year ago and 1.135 this year. So but this is interesting too. When Angie was talking about final listed sold price, it's 94.1% on Kauai, so it's significantly higher, even though it's only a few percentage points. In the grand scheme of things, when you think about that in dollar, what a dollar value that represents, it's $70,000, $80,000, $90,000 in dollar value when your median price is 1.135 million. So stronger there. Kauai seems like it has the strongest market of all the markets right now, as we've been looking at data every couple of weeks. So we'll be interested to see how that continues to move on. I added this in here last minute, guys. I wanted to talk real quickly about this because this is always a point of contention and controversy in the state. So I didn't prepare everybody. So I'm going to intro this and then get everybody's reaction kind of live here. Is this data just came out this morning. I got the email this morning from Title Guarantee, our friends at Title Guarantee. Thank you for putting this data together. But they track the only good data point when it comes to where buyers come from is their home of record when they buy. So is it perfect? It's not perfect, right? It could be somebody who moved to the mainland 10 years ago from Hawaii and then is moving back, but their home of record was the mainland. They're counted as an out-of-state buyer, and vice versa, right? That can happen a couple of different ways. But in general, I think on average, it probably is a solid representation of where buyers come from. And if you look at the percentage breakdowns of the number of sales, and this is a statewide percentage, it varies island to island. It's pretty much always like an 80-20 split. 80% of people are buying with a Hawaii address and 20% of people are buying from an out-of-state address. 20% plus a little bit of tiny international percentage of buyers. But that ratio really hasn't changed. There hasn't been any trends up and down in the last 30 years. And I think there's a common misconception a lot of times that like, oh, there's all these mainland buyers that are buying up all the properties, and it's just not statistically true because that number has pretty much stayed the same for decades. But any kind of anecdotal thoughts on this, guys, or reaction to this in terms of the number of sales from people that are out of state?
I have a thought, and what we just said, it's been like this for decades, but I wonder how much of the like Washington and California buyers are due to the new tax legislations. Like in Washington state, they have done like that luxury property tax or like millionaire tax.
And California too, right? California is implementing. Yeah, California is implementing crazy billionaire taxes and all kinds of stuff that's pushing everybody out. New York is, yeah. I don't know. That's a good question. That's something that I'm sure there'll be a study 5 years from now that tells us about it, which isn't really helpful because it happened 5 years ago, right?
So I'm surprised that I don't see Chinese buyers on this list because they were the big buyers at Kaka'ako, and they were flipping them, meaning that a Chinese buyer would buy it and then they would have like 2 buyers behind them already. So they were flipping that. And I don't think you can do that now, but I'm surprised about that. And then as for that tax for millionaires and billionaires, because I see them all the time, it's not going to affect them. What they do is they take that cash, they buy something and they let it sit. It's like a stock for them. And they have so much money that their accountants or they hire all the smart people, think tanks, they figure out how to work the system. So if they want Hawaii, they will buy Hawaii. And most of them, it's ego. I have a place in Hawaii. I have a place in wherever. They have like 5 homes. And those are all, they're banking their money. So they'll figure it out. They always do. And they will always flourish. And they'll always have the money. They're not going to
The one more, you make a great point here, and I think one of the things that this data illustrates is exactly what you're talking about, and that's the difference between number of sales and sales volume. And if you look at the ratio between the two, right? So like 2026, and this is for the first quarter, so the first 3 months of the year, 3,345 sales, 78% of them went to people that had a Hawaii address. But if you look at the dollar volume, the 3.3 billion in dollar volume, 65% of that volume is represented by the people who bought in the state, and 31% is represented by the people who bought out of state. So what Annie's talking about is that rich people are buying rich people properties, right? Which further to me makes the point that they're not displacing like locals. Like locals aren't buying $5 million houses in the resorts. Like that's not what locals do. And the data kind of backs that up, right? And I'm sure I'm sure Angie's got something to say about this because she's always had to kind of looking at the data. But to me, that's what that means, right? Is that if a smaller percentage of individual units represents a larger volume, it means they're just buying more expensive properties, right?
Yeah, I absolutely agree. And I'm glad Mike brought up property taxes because I was the property tax assessor here for 8 years. And I actually assessed all of the properties that Annie is talking about. So it's a really good thing to look at. And it feeds into the locals only bill really well, too. When you look at other ways to incentivize local ownership, like through homeowners exemption programs, Hawaii is really unique. Like our property taxes don't fund in education. I think we're the only state in the nation that's like that. So we're kind of known as the Aloha state as far as property taxes go, even though it is ad valorem and our values are super high. On the other end of the scale, our property taxes are pretty low, but they get you in the end. Like we have sales tax and other stuff going. But I think it was a really good point that he brought up just on how that factors in. And what Annie's saying is that you have this top very small percentage of buyers that are, a pretty big chunk of the volume that really don't care about that.
Yeah. Yeah, if you buy a $5 million house, the property tax rate isn't like something that you consider, right? Like, so it's like when they're like, oh my goodness, this luxury condo HOA fee is $3,000. It's like, well, you're paying $3 million for a condo. The $3,000 HOA fee is not going to break the bank on you. So, yeah. All right, let's move on, guys. Let's hit this question, then we'll get into our diamonds and deals and start wrapping up the show. So cost of living is something that people always ask about. So we'll go around the horn here. And is it possible to live in Hawaii on $80,000 a year? And if so, what's the island to do it on? So we'll start from the bottom and go up. So Annie, you go first. Is it possible, in your opinion, to live on $80,000 a year in Hawaii?
Yeah. I mean, I'm from Molokai and we lived a sustainable lifestyle and we barter. It's a sense of community. So, there are hunters and gatherers there. So you can live on under even like 60,000, and I always thought about, oh, can I retire? Where would I go with my income? I'm like, I could probably go home, because I can fish and then, my neighbors hunt and I can always do it across. But, when you're raising a family, you cannot, you have to make about 130, and you're talking about 130,000 and 30.
Are you talking about combined income or
income.
Individual? Okay.
Combined income. So, and that would be you have to have a $30 an hour job, and Hawaii is so slow to get caught up into paying the workers that wage amount. They're getting there, but it's going to take some time. I come from the hotel industry, and when people talk about why is it so high to pay the daily rate of like 400, 500, it's because they're finally paying their workers the right wage. So, and it trickled down. That dollar just gets passed. But if you immerse yourself in the community, you have your support system, you can live here, So, and the lowest place cost of living, I would say, on the Big Island is in Hilo. Hilo used to be the main capital. And so you have all the government jobs there. You've got all these things that can trickle down, and they have affordable housing. And rent and your mortgage is what breaks you. So that's the highest payout that you have to do. And if you can figure that out, and you can, you just have to get the right resources, the right people to make things work in Hawaii. And we're going to keep working on affordable homes and getting people here.
Love it, love it. Yes, and I agree. Big Island and the East Side is the most affordable place on all the islands. But Mike, what about Maui? Is it possible to live on 80K in Maui?
Well, Maui has the highest cost of living in the state, so you could live here on 80K. You're going to have to be realistic on what you can do with that 80K and where you can live, right? Most likely, you're probably going to be living with roommates. If we're just looking at 80K for one person, right? You are probably going to have roommates. You're probably not living in like the resort areas. I mean, I saw this morning a long-term rental. It's a 1-bedroom, 1-bath, North Kihei. They were listed at 2,500. Now
1 bedroom, 1 bath,
that's
like probably like
decent.
600 square feet or something, right?
Yeah, I think it was 612 or around 600 square feet.
Yeah,
yes.
yeah.
But if you think that you're gonna come here, live South Kihei or Wailea for under $6,000, that's just not realistic. You're not gonna find that in certain areas. But it also goes to like what lifestyle are you living, right? If you want the high end stuff, 80K is not gonna get you there at all. I mean, that doesn't even pay our rent for a year where we live.
So Mike,
it's
does the monthly rent, is that still affected by the Lahaina fires? Is that why the rent is still so high?
So just out of curiosity, a couple of nights ago, my wife and I were looking, and I can only speak for like the Wailea area. And there was a place that we were looking at in December. I'll just tell you the numbers. He wanted 10, the person wanted 10K. Well, we messaged, tried to negotiate, and he's like, no, that's my price. Down, I scrolled to the bottom and at his listing history, 9,000. Then he pulls it out. He's back down to 8,000, and I believe. Are we back?
I think you're back. Okay, go ahead. Now you're back. Yeah, you're cutting out there for a second.
So now he's listed at 8,000, and that's been on Zillow for 64 days. So even a 20% reduction, what he was 5 months ago, is still not renting. I think that I was looking at some others. It is starting to come down. But the real issue that happened after the Lahaina fires is, well, one, there was the lack of inventory, right? That's real. But when FEMA came in and was giving I think they were giving like $4,000 for a 1-bedroom, 1-bath. I think it was $6,000 or $8,000 for a 2-bedroom, 2-bath. They artificially inflated the rental market, like severely artificially inflated it. So then all of the other landlords that were like, I'm not doing FEMA, but hey, FEMA's paying them $3,000-4,000 for a 1-bedroom. Well, I'm going to do the same thing. I think the FEMA funding has ended or is about to end, and now it's starting to come down. It is still up there though.
Yeah, good perspective there. So instead of answering this question, Angie, I'm going to throw this one to you, which just came in live. Is on the Big Island, I see non-permitted buildings on some very reasonable price property. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, this is a great question because we have a huge market for unpermitted on lower price land. And I always say unpermitted is, it's kind of like a box of chocolates. You really don't know what you're going to get. And if you're kind of a personality that doesn't mind surprises in the form of financial, like things that you have to take care of, then I think it's okay. If you're sort of a buyer who has a lot of construction experience and can go in like a home inspector and really see how something was built, then yeah, maybe sure that's an option for you. But there's definitely, I think a majority of buyers that would be, when it's explained to them of what this means, it wasn't certified. They didn't certify that they use licensed plumbers or electricians. If it's drywalled, you don't really know what's going on behind the drywall. I think it does make some buyers uneasy.
One of the biggest challenges you can't get financing out of, right? So they might be affordable. Yeah. A lot of times somebody looking for affordable property doesn't have cash. They need a mortgage and it's not possible to get one. So
exactly.
Yeah. All right. Thanks, West by Northwest, for the question. All right. we're gonna move on here, guys, to our diamonds and deals segment. Let's bring back in the slides, and everybody picked out a property that they wanted to highlight. We got to go kind of quick here because we're getting short on time. So tell us about this. Oh, this is mine. So here's you guys' deal of the week, right? So if you want a total project, but 2 houses on 1 lot in Honoka'a, which is the east side of the island, for $490,000. This is like on a 1/2 acre, but total project to close to tear downs. But these are those opportunities where when you want to get in cheap and really over double your property value if you were willing to put some sweat equity into it. This is one of those opportunities. So if you're into renovations and a deal, this is one that we wanted to throw out there and show everybody it is possible to get affordable housing, but this is what you're gonna be looking at for under $500,000, right? But 2 houses, so that's a big advantage here. Is you could rent one, you could live in one, but it's almost a full on tear down and remodel. So all right, moving on to Maui. What you got for us, Mike?
Okay, this is, in my opinion, a diamond and a deal. So this is Sugar Beach Resort. It is located North Kihei. This unit is unit 502. It's a 1-bedroom, 1-bath, listed at $725,000. This is listed by Cliff Jordan and Christian Garrissey with Coldwell Banker Island Properties, so it's not mine. Sugar Beach Resort has some of the strongest reserves on the island right now. They've got $7.5 million in reserves. It also is sitting on like Hawaii. I think Sugar Beach is Hawaii's longest stretch of a continuous stretch of sand. But the reason I'm saying it's a deal is another unit just closed on the 7th of this month for what was it? It was $825,000. So I mean, this is $100K below that. It's in pristine condition. A client of mine and we went and viewed this over the weekend. It's a corner unit, so you get that natural light. You've got upgraded windows and strong, solid rental potential. I mean, you've got generations that continue to come back to this complex. It is a hotel zone complex. So my investor friends, this is a safe bet right here. This is one that also allows pets. Most of the condo complexes that allow short-term rentals do not allow pets. So let's talk about the HOA fees real quick. The HOA fees on this per month are $1,517.
What's the pet policy? Is it like is it poundage? Is it got to be approved by the HOA?
So we looked into that because this was a determining factor for my client. And according to the condo docs, there were no breed restrictions and no weight limits in this complex. All the other hotel zoned complexes that allowed pets you could have up to 2 pets. And I think it was a 20 or 25 pound weight limit.
Love it. All right, it's a good one. Reach out to Mike, guys, if you got any questions. All right, who's this? Is this Annie?
Yes. So this is my listing in Waikoloa Village, priced at $899, and it has an ohana. And right now you could rent that ohana, which is just a studio, less than 400 square feet. You can rent it for $2,200. And Waikoloa Village is the next big thing that's going to explode in development. So anyone that's buying in the village right now, they're going to get value as the village increase and all the people that's moving here. At one time, it used to be the place that people lived and housed the workers down the resort. I was one of them in there. So I lived at 3 different complexes. And then and I worked down the resort. But in the village, there's 7,000 people. And right now they are big developer Meridian that's coming in here. Same developer that developed in Puna area. He's built all of the affordable homes there. They're renting those lofts, 2-bedroom, 1-bath for $2,100. They've got a new Waikoloa Plaza. They also have
pause on that. So affordable housing is $2,100 a month, right? That's what you said. Okay, so I just want to make sure everybody heard that, right? So even a explicit affordable housing project, you're looking at $2,100 a month. So and what does that look like? I mean, like,
so it's a 2-bedroom, 2 bedroom, 1 bath. It's called
Okay.
Waikoloa Lofts, and they're 600 square feet, and they're 2 story. So Meridian is building those affordable homes, and we have Makanakai, which is a 2 bedroom, 2 bath, which Castle and Cook has restarted. So there's a big boom development. So if anybody's asking, like, Waikolo Village is the place to be now, and they've got private water, so water is not scarce. It's here. So it's really going, and there's a bunch of land. I'm making offers on land. It's just crazy. People want to build, even though building 6 is a little bit higher. So, and at one time you thought, okay, well, you're going to build, and at the end of the day, it's going to be like 350, 1.2 million is going to cost. But when they want a brand new house, those are the people that are building. So yeah. So this is a
Cool.
great 3 bedroom, 2 bath, 1,400 square feet, oversized lot. This is a bargain. Anyone who gets this and it has an ohana, you can do all types of loans, fully permitted.
Love it, love it. And I remember the days when Waikoloa Village was like a cheap place. It was like the affordable place that you could buy, and that is no longer the case. So, all right, what we got here, Angie?
This is a great new listing, or it's a new-ish listing, but it just had a $100,000 price drop yesterday, which I thought was really great and shows some fantastic motivation. It's now listed at 1.5. It also has a really amazing, like, larger ohana. I think it's like 900 square feet, 1 bedroom detached private entrance. It's an amazing pool. It's in Upper Kalawa, like Mauka Kalawa, so cooler elevation. But it is on a half-acre lot, or almost half-acre lot. And I think it's just a really good deal for someone looking to kind of chip in and get the most affordable house in the nicest neighborhood that they can afford. This area is kind of where everything in North Kona is moving. It's out Mauka of the airport, and really nice views. And just, I think it's a really good deal. I think it's a diamond and a deal, Dylan.
Hey, that's the name of the segment, right? So let's do it. All right. Okay, so one more quick station break, and then we'll wrap everything up, guys. So if you are you in the ohana? Are you in the Islander ohana? So if you're not, go to livinginhawaii.com, sign up for the newsletter, and then we also have a separate program that we will be relaunching in the fall, which is the Islander ohana, where it's a cohort live classes and training on if you're making the move to Hawaii, to help you consider doing that and plan that move. So I'm keeping out for that. Sign up for the newsletter, and you'll get updates on that when we're ready to go. But that's something that's been very successful, and people are asking for that we do again. So we're working on putting all that together, updating all the content for you guys, and making sure that you got the best, freshest information on making the move, and more importantly, after you move here, making sure that it's successful. You find a job, you assimilate, you involved with the community, all of those types of things. So livinginhawaii.com, check it out, sign up for the newsletter. All right, and we are going to close things out, guys, with some closing thoughts. And I think, Mike, me and you, we sold it here, and I forgot to put something into, so I'm just going to have to freestyle. But what do you got on a closing thought, man?
So I totally spaced on that last one, but here's one of my
Me too.
we get to that, I'm like, I never put a quote in. But luckily, I have this one saved, bookmarked, because it's one of my all-time favorite quotes. And it says, "This is the beginning of a new day. You have been given this day to use as you will. You can waste it or use it for good. What you do today is important because you're exchanging a day of your life for it. When tomorrow comes, this day will be gone forever. In its place is something that you have left behind. Let that something be great."
It's beautiful, man. I love it.
I don't know who said that. It was hanging in the Colorado State University football weight locker room when I was in college, and I took a picture of it, and it just stuck with me for quite a long time.
Love it, love it. Beautiful. All right, who's this? Oh, let me back in the slides. There we go.
Yeah, this is my quote. I use this for my kids, my husband, clients, and it's always great. So that way it's okay to take a pause and say you're processing that, what they're saying, what they're doing, when it's not clear. And sometimes taking that pause and to process what's being said or what's being done is like critical to your next move. So I always want to tell people, it's okay to take a pause. And sometimes it stops people in their track and they have a clairvoyance on what they want to do, what they want to think, what they want to say. Because it's, to me, it's always critical how you react to a situation or to people. So, and it stops people in their tracks when you say, I need to take a pause. Do you mind? Or you say, I'm processing what you just said. And it makes the other person think back and make it a lot more clear.
I love it. That's so good. So good. All right, Angie, what you got? I'm talking about Clear. A quote from James Clear. Look at that.
Most of the time, you don't need more information. You need more courage. I love this. I think there's a lot of, I think a lot of hesitation kind of turns into us trying to convincing ourselves that we need more information or we don't have enough information to move forward when there's, I think intuition is kind of undersold. And if you trust your gut, the answer is kind of always there, even from the beginning. And we're just gathering more information to kind of convince us of what we already know. So just kind of go with your gut a lot, I think is a good rule to live by.
Yeah.
Yes, I love that. It kind of piggyback on one I did a few weeks ago. Life rewards action, not knowledge.
Yeah, 100%. And actually, so I'm gonna wrap this thing up with something right along those lines, and I want to give you guys a story about the conference that I was at was a conference of leaders in the company, and our CEO really wanted feedback on the direction we wanted to go in and what things that what kind of support we needed, what kind of tech, and a crazy example of just leadership in action, like really good leadership in action is he was asking everybody about CMA tools, like what does everybody use for CMA tools, and people were saying that we needed a unified CMA tool. And this is like insider baseball of real estate stuff. So if you're watching this, don't worry about what a CMA tool is, but it's what we do to kind of help price properties. And long story short, he got some input from everybody and some consensus on what everybody liked. And then we moved on to the next topic. And then like 15 minutes later, he comes back in and he's like, "Hey guys, I just talked to the CEO of the company that everybody decided they liked, and he's like, we got two options that we can negotiate with them. I want you guys' feedback." And he kind of presented the two options, seeing what everybody liked better, and then he's like, "Okay, I'll work on closing the deal." And it was crazy to see, like, it wasn't like something that like went back to the drawing board and they would maybe have a committee on it and stuff. Like it was just like clear, decisive action and immediate action. And in life, there's always that yin and that yang of like what Annie's talking about is like sometimes you got to pause and wait and really think about stuff. But then there's other times when speed and action is what wins, not necessarily better strategy or more information or better knowledge and all that kind of stuff. And I thought that was a great example of that, and just a leadership example that I'd love to follow. So it's been a cool week. So all right, guys, we're right on time here, wrapping it up. So let's go around the horn. Actually, let me just do one more reminder here on the next show. The next show will be in 2 weeks, May 29th, and we'll be back with the crew. Thank you guys for watching this week, as always, and check out livinginhawaii.com for more information. Let's start from the bottom and move our way up, and everybody say aloha. Go ahead, Annie.
Aloha. Have a great weekend, folks.
Right
Thank
on.
you for tuning in.
Mike?
Hey, happy Aloha Friday, everybody. Let what you do today be something great.
Love it. Angie?
Aloha, guys. Have a great weekend.
Yep, same. Thanks all for joining us today, and we'll see you guys in 2 weeks. Aloha.